Welcome to this ACES writing lesson. This lesson is dedicated to a review of assertion. Let's get right to work. A in ACES stands for assertion. Make clear assertions. Okay, an assertion is a statement that you're going to be very confident about. Assertion, all this means is an answer. Right? Assertion is a fancy word. It means answer in this case, and we want to answer the question with clarity. In this case, assertion means an answer, right? We want to answer the question with clarity. Okay, there are a few things to remember when we're answering a question with clarity. The number one thing to remember is that your assertion, your answer, should be an opinion that is worth arguing. Not a fact, an opinion that is worth arguing. Number two, you want to use key words from the question or writing prompt, because sometimes it doesn't always have a question mark at the end. You want to use key words from what you're given in your answer so that your answer is more clear. And number three, your answer, your assertion should be clear even if the person who reads it has not read the question. Let's get right down to business with some examples. I hope you are familiar with Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants. That'll make this a lot easier. Let's take a look at a good question. Are there any redeeming qualities in Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants, or is it simply fun cartoon entertainment? You might want to pause right here and just kind of think about that question and formulate an opinion in your mind. Here's an example of an opinion. Yes, there are redeeming qualities to the show. All right, this is definitely an opinion. We like it. This assertion does meet the first criteria of being an opinion that can be argued. Does it meet the other criteria? Does this assertion use key words from the question? Well, redeeming qualities comes from right here, redeeming qualities, so that's pretty good, right? Are there any other key words that would be useful? Probably the owner of the genre. In this case, it's a cartoon, right? You might even use the word cartoon. Certainly, the title of what we're talking about. That's also key information that we did not include in our assertion. And finally, does this assertion make sense even if the reader does not read the question? Well, let's check that out. If someone opened your door right now and stuck their head in and said, yes, there are redeeming qualities to the show, and then they just left, would you have any idea what in the world they were talking about? I wouldn't. So no, this absolutely does not meet the third criteria. This isn't understandable on its own. It needs to be revised. This is better. Here's an assertion. There are redeeming qualities in Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants. This is definitely an opinion. We can argue this opinion. This definitely is pulling from key words from the writing prompt. And also, this would make sense if someone stuck their head in the door and said, hey, guess what? There are redeeming qualities in Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants. And then they walked away. Well, that would be a little weird, but at least we'd know what they were talking about. So this is an acceptable assertion. But let me tell you what, if you are clever enough to write this, and I know that you are, I think that you can be even more specific and more clear. Let's try to go one step further. There are redeeming qualities in Nickelodeon's SpongeBob SquarePants, such as the importance of apologizing when you make a mistake that hurts other people. This is so specific. Still an opinion, still arguable, still uses lots of key words from the question at hand, and I'm really interested. I want to hear what you have to say about the importance of apologizing. I want to see your evidence, and let's talk about it. This is really great. Let's try a question that's kind of standalone. They're not going to tell you exactly what to write about. You get to make some choices here. Here's the question. How are children's stories used as a tool to influence childhood behavior? Okay, pause right here and think about that a little bit. Maybe come up with some ideas before we go on. Here's one idea. They teach children lessons about how to behave. Okay, this is definitely an opinion. There are actually a few, maybe children and behave and behavior. Those are kind of close. So yes, there are some keywords. Does this pass the can it stand alone test? If someone stuck their head in the room and said, they teach children lessons about how to behave, and then walked away, would you have any idea about what's really being talked about here? I would not. This does not pass the test. Let's take a look at the question with something specific in mind. So I'm going to choose Harry Potter. You could have chosen something else. That's totally fine. I just chose this one because I thought maybe you all would be familiar with it. So how are children's stories used as a tool to influence childhood behavior? So here's an assertion. J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter book series is an example of a child's story used as a tool to influence childhood behavior. Okay, so this is an opinion. There are definitely some key words here. We've got an author and a title. We've even identified what kind of title this is. It's from a book series. We're talking about influence childhood behavior. We've put those keywords in there. That's pretty good. What's the problem here? In this case, we haven't actually answered the question. The question was, how? It doesn't say, give me an example of. It says, how? How are children's stories used as a tool? So we need to answer that question. Let's get a little more specific. How about this? J.K. Rowling's Harry Potter book series is an example of a child's story used as a tool to influence childhood behavior because it teaches us that we should be more accepting of people who come from difficult backgrounds, right? Because Harry Potter was teased for being an orphan. He was bullied by his adoptive family. He was made to live under the stairs. They did not treat him well, but we find out later that he was worthy of being treated well. So now, not only have we chosen a story that is a children's story used as a tool to influence childhood behavior, but we've also specifically answered the question, and we answered how it was used. Let's take a look at another idea, Green Eggs and Ham by Dr. Seuss. How are children's stories used as a tool to influence childhood behavior? You might want to pause right here and think about that with green eggs and ham in mind. If that's the children's story, how is it used to influence childhood behavior? Here's one idea. Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham is a children's book that was written to try to influence children's eating behaviors for the better. This is an excellent assertion. We definitely have an opinion. We definitely have all the keywords. Whoops, let's see if I can try something like this. There we go. We definitely have all the necessary keywords. It's a children's book or a children's story, right? We're trying to influence children, right? Influence childhood behavior. We use the word behavior too. This is really nice, and it's very specific, right? This is about eating behaviors, changing children's eating behaviors. Very specific. Now, this is great. I'm all for it. You could get even more specific if you wanted to. What if you said, Dr. Seuss's Green Eggs and Ham is a children's book that was written to try to convince children who are picky eaters to try new foods? This is super specific. I love it. Here's another one. Disney's Cinderella. How are children's stories used as a tool to influence childhood behavior? If you want to stop here and think about a possible answer, you can do that. I'm going to go ahead and give you an example if you want that. In Disney's version of the childhood story Cinderella, child viewers are encouraged to believe that they will be rewarded with happiness if they remain patient and behave obediently. Okay, so definitely childhood stories, right? Children's stories. We have the maker in this case. We have the name of it. Let's see. I could have put film in here to be even more specific. I didn't do that. Let's see. There, instead of influencing, we put encourage to believe, right? That's pretty close. And then also the childhood behavior that we're talking about is very specifically that children will be rewarded with happiness if they remain patient and behave obediently. And this whole question makes perfect sense by itself if you did not see the question. So this is great. This would be a good place to stop, pause right here, and see if you can come up with another assertion based on some other childhood story that you know of. Okay, check your answer. Check and see if you met all the criteria. Did you write an opinion that is worth arguing? Did you use keywords from the writing prompt? And is your assertion understandable without having read the question or the prompt? Did you answer the question with clarity? Now, for our final example, I want to go a little deeper and require a little more complex thought because you're in the big school now. Now, let's see what you can do. All right, here's a meme. I don't know if you've seen this before. It's a woman who is clearly distressed. She's crying, right? And it says, someone didn't refill the Brita pitcher. Now I have to wait 30 seconds for water, which is really terrible. This was produced by BuzzFeed in 2011. Let's talk about it for just a moment to make sure that we're all on the same page in terms of what exactly we're reading here. So if you're not sure of what a Brita pitcher is, it's one of those water filtration systems that you can purchase to drink filtered water in the comfort of your own home. So the Brita pitcher looks like this water pitcher here. You can see this particular example, which is a pretty current price, $27 just to own the pitcher. That has nothing to do with the water that goes into it. And then if you really want to do it right, you're going to have to once a month or so, every so often, I don't know, once every few months or every so often, buy a filter. You have to put a filter into the pitcher, and that's another $20 every time you need to change the filter. So we're talking about, $20, $40, almost $50 just in the pitcher alone, not including the water that you might drink from it. Look at this woman. She is so upset about her Brita pitcher not being filled. She actually has a tear running down her face. She's traumatized by the fact that she needs to wait for 30 seconds for someone to fill up the pitcher with water before she can pour herself a glass of water. Now, why is this interesting? Well, it has to do with a little thing called irony. Irony is a kind of humor. Well, basically it means saying one thing to bring attention to the opposite idea. For example, pretend that your room looks like this. Your bedroom looks like this, and the adult in the house walks in and says, "Boy, it's a good thing you cleaned up your room today." They've said exactly opposite of what they're meaning to say. So that's irony. Now, with a bit of attitude, it becomes sarcasm, but that's something else. This is irony. And irony often has a humorous effect. It makes us laugh just a little bit. And sometimes we laugh about irony when the issue is actually very serious. For example, in this case, the Brita meme is bringing attention to the fact that in first world countries, right, countries that are wealthy compared to other countries in the world, we have clean water just by pouring it out of the Brita into a glass and enjoying clean water. But in some third world countries, such as Ethiopia, they get their drinking water from dipping their bucket into the muddy stuff that runs near their village. So, which water do you want to drink? Back to the meme now. Now you understand a little bit of the context behind the meme. So someone didn't refill the Brita pitcher. Now I have to wait 30 seconds for water. Now I hope you understand the irony intended in the meme. So let's take a look at a question. What is this Brita meme, published by BuzzFeed in 2011, suggesting about the attitudes of people who live in first world countries? Now, you thought I was going to ask you a question about irony, didn't you? But that would be way too easy. Nope, I want to ask you a question about attitudes. So, what are they suggesting about the attitudes of people who live in first world countries? Okay, let's take just a moment. I want you to pause right now, and all I want you to do is brainstorm a list of possible attitudes we might talk about here. Here are a few possible attitudes that I came up with. Now, remember, it's not necessary to agree with an argument, right? We're just making an argument. So here are a few attitudes that BuzzFeed might be making fun of here. They might be saying that people who live in first world countries are unaware of what's going on in other countries. Privileged, maybe. Maybe they're saying we're spoiled or self-centered. Maybe it's a comment about being rich. Maybe they're suggesting that some people don't have serious problems, so they make a big deal out of not serious problems, minor things, right? Maybe they're saying people in first world countries are out of touch with what's going on in other parts of the world. I don't know. So you could choose any one of these, or maybe you came up with another attitude that I didn't list here. That would be fine too. Let's see what we can do, though, with an assertion. Go ahead and pause here and try to write a clear assertion to answer this writing prompt. Okay? You want to answer the question clearly. You want to use keywords. Let's see if I can. Let's see. Brita is probably a keyword you want to use. Meme. BuzzFeed are the people who created this meme. And then things like suggesting. Definitely attitudes. Attitudes is like the most important keyword here. And then first world countries. These are attitudes of people in first world countries. So see what keywords you can use, come up with an assertion, and then come back and we'll check how you did. Okay, how'd you do? Did you make a clear assertion? Did you answer the question with clarity? Is your assertion an opinion that is worth arguing? Did you pull keywords from the writing prompt? Most importantly, well, maybe not most importantly, but equally as important, can someone read what you wrote and understand exactly what you're arguing without having read the question? Here's a possible assertion that I came up with. In 2011, BuzzFeed created a meme about Brita water pitchers suggesting that people living in first world countries are out of touch with the real problems in the world. Okay, now yours doesn't have to look like mine. There are many, many right answers to these kinds of questions because they're opinions, and there are many, many opinions in the world. The important thing that we're looking for here is, can you write an assertion that is clear and worth arguing? That's all I have for you for right now. That's all, folks. Well done.